Yes, well, I mean, I've been predicting this for a very, very long time. I think that you're all quite correct in what you say. I think a large part of what has happened and is causing the rioting in the streets and the unrest is that after 14 years of not being listened to by the Tories, we've now had several weeks in which it looks like labor is going to be no better or worse, and people have just had enough. And it's summertime, and they're out and they're saying we're not going to have this. As far as the stock markets go, that just causes more unease. There's a lot of technical explanations, Isabel, going around with a lot of sort of economic gobbledygook. I'm going to try to explain it, maybe, if I may, in somewhat simpler terms. I think there's several causes of this crash. The main cause is actually, as you say, in Japan, where what's called the Japanese yen carry trade has exploded. To put it simply, the Japanese currency has been very cheap to borrow for a long time. I mean, interest rates to borrow their money was nothing really. And trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in yen were borrowed by investors of all kinds to buy assets all over the world denominated in other currencies. That's a very risky thing to do. And when the Japanese started to raise interest rates recently, all the banks and other lenders called for margin. In other words, they said, give us some cash, give us some more collateral to maintain our loan to value ratios and the loans we made you. And whenever that happens, whenever there are margin calls, many investors dump everything they have and repay the loans immediately. So that's the crisis that hit Japan, a massive sell-off of assets around the world, dumping, all kinds of things in Japan and outside, which caused, as you say, the worst crash in Japan in 37 years, the worst fall. Second thing that happened at the same time is that the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, failed to recognize essential weaknesses in the U.S. economy, and people panicked and started to sell there on top of the crisis in Japan. So there's been a massive dumping, selling of assets around the world. That's what's caused the markets to crash. And that's what hurts us here, as well as the political uncertainty and the rioting, which is causing pressure on the pound as well as it is on the euro because of what's happening in France.